And welcome back to Capital Today, live on Capital TV with me, Ben Ibrahim. And today, right now, it's our FaceTime segment where we get up close and personal with a very interesting guest to talk about their business. And I'm very glad to welcome to Capital Today Mr. Scott Ross, Managing Director of Art Futures Group Malaysia. Scott, welcome to the show and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure indeed. Lovely Friday morning. Now, Scott, tell us about your business.
Well, Art Futures Group, we were actually Hong Kong's first art brokerage. We've now became the world's leading art investment brokerage specializing in Chinese contemporary art. We're a full-service art investment company, so it's more like an end-to-end brokerage where we guide our investors or clients all the way through the whole process from purchasing to exiting.
So very much a service business.
Service-oriented, yes,
Okay.
we do it. We're actually sourcing Chinese contemporary art pieces from mid-career artists in China, which is the more affordable and accessible end of the market. We're not talking millions of dollars here. It's actually where the most movement is. As a company, we track and research a particular artist until we're satisfied with their career and their auction results, and then we approach the artist and we buy the art directly from the artist, which becomes substantial when you compare to, say, shopping at other venues.
Of course. So you're very much doing all the detail work, aren't you?
Not me personally.
Not you personally. Yeah, you're the boss. Yeah.
Well, we have a team of researchers, and we also have one of the differences. I mean, most our clients are expecting 10 to 15% per annum capital growth on their artworks.
Right. When you say 10 to 15% growth on their artwork, growth in terms of?
Value.
Value, okay. Value.
Per annum.
Okay.
It is a 4 to 5 year hold. If you held it longer, you'd make more.
Right.
It's just a matter of timing. One of the little niches we have in our company as well is we also have a leasing program, which not everybody gets to take advantage of. It's when it's available, but it's kind of like a property investment, which enables our clients to buy an artwork for investment. They entered into our leasing program, and we would lease it out to one of our corporate clients, which would generate a secondary income stream.
Income is good. Income is always good, yes.
6% per annum.
Nice.
Which is, a little more than what we get at the banks these days.
That's good. That's good. I mean, like I said, you can't argue with that word income because it is a good one.
Yeah.
And, tough times, I mean, not super tough times, but challenging times that we live in to get more revenue and whatnot. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But Scott, tell us about your background. Now, you went to college, studied arts and science, and you worked in the science stream for quite a while. What made you say, okay, I'm going to go back to arts now, and because you seem quite passionate about it?
Well, I mean, I've always been passionate about art. It really had a lot to do with the global financial crisis.
The one in 08?
The one in 08,
Oh,
09.
yes.
Where
Lest we forget. Yes.
Where basically what I was doing in the science field kind of came to an end, and I looked for another, and I said, full-time, why don't I go back into the arts?
Right.
Arts, I've seen over the years, has always done very good. Most people are always under the impression that the arts and art investment was for the rich and famous.
I'm sorry, I probably used to subscribe to that.
Yeah.
To that notion.
But we're actually bringing it to the middle-class professionals.
Okay.
But I've seen people over the years who have bought artworks on holidays, for example.
Right.
They go on a cruise, they go to a country, they buy it for aesthetics, they bring it home, and 40 years later, they go to sell it and it's worth millions.
Nice, nice.
So there's seeing those stories and hearing those stories basically always reminded me that the potential and the opportunities with art.
Right. Now, Scott, you said Asian contemporary art. Now, the global market, for various reasons, the global premium market, for various reasons, love Asian contemporary art, and we're not complaining. But what is it about Asian contemporary art do they like? Is it the history? Is it the value? Is it the aesthetics?
I think it's a combination. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are the enthusiasts, all want a piece of the history. Investors, it's the more affordable and accessible end of the market. But yes, it has changed. And the Asian contemporary art market is a very robust industry. unaffected by the economic circumstances that we've seen
Yeah,
over the last few years.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
you said, you know,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are going to art for.
Yeah, it's considered a safe haven.
Yeah.
And currently, and really for the last 4 years, Asia has 45% of auction revenues.
Say that again.
45% of the world's auction
That's
revenues.
a high stat.
Yes, it's always used to be in the past. 10 years ago it was London, New York. So we see
Glamorous cities, yes.
we see the change coming from the east and from the west to the east. And for 4 years in a row now, we've had 45% of auction turnovers. Of that 45%, 49% have been Asian artists. And of the 49% of the Asian artists, 40% are Chinese artists.
Right. Now, Scott, it sounds like your job, a portion of your job is about education and awareness. Now, let's just say an investor. And investors, they have deep pockets. They come up to you and they think this is a simplified process. But like we said earlier, and you explained earlier, it's a very detailed process. You have a team looking after it. So what kind of education and awareness are you giving your investor when you sit down with them and say, look, yes, you want to make a good investment, a good return in a period of time, 5 years, maturity, all of the above. But what kind of things do you have to peg them down and say, look, this is the way it works. These are the realities of the business which they're not aware of. Because investors and people, we love to presume.
Yes, I totally agree. Especially here in Malaysia.
Oh yes, we love the stereotype.
It's a very intense educational process.
Very intense is the right word.
Yeah, it's very raw here, and we're here to bring education, awareness to the point where Malaysians will more and more understand the value of investing in contemporary art. In the beginning, I tell them about the process, our business model, how we do it, and then I supply people with a lot of third-party information. There's Deloitte reports, art price reports, art tactic reports. I even tell some people that don't even want to accept my email, go on Google, type in Art Investment Malaysia. There's hundreds and hundreds of articles about the art market.
Right.
It is astonishing, the lack of awareness in regards to the art market here. But I kind of relate to it. 5 years ago in Hong Kong when we started, no one knew about art investment. Within a year, there's a lot more auction houses there, galleries there, and it really got into the press, where the awareness was made known. It is all over the world. I just, hopefully today we help make people aware.
You're definitely making me aware. That's a start.
So the awareness is never there, but the potential has always been there.
So what kind of questions do you get asked by these potential investors when you sit down, have that chat before the detailed emails? I mean, it's all about answering questions, isn't it?
Well, initially, most of my conversations are done over the phone.
Oh.
Brief introduction of who we are, what we do, determine any interests, and if so, then I will send over via email or post e-brochures, link to our website, third-party information. Let them do their own due diligence.
Okay, fair enough.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to.
Because you can't push, can you?
No.
Yeah.
And if they do that due diligence, they will come aware that, hey, this looks good.
Yeah.
Let me find out more. And at that point, I will schedule an appointment, come down, meet face to face, and go in further details. Because there's a lot to talk about as far as valuations, contracts, insurance, exit strategies. Details.
Yeah, details. Now, Scott, what do you love about your job? I mean, you've been doing it for a while.
Doing it for a while.
I mean, big smile on your face every time you talk about that. And I don't meet too many of those kind of people in Asia, but always great to see.
Well, it's an exciting market.
It is. Sounds very exciting.
It is. It's exciting, and recently the results have been very pleasing. I see people going to auctions today, bidding and bidding and bidding on art, and that just shows the enthusiasm for the art market in these days. So it's good. It's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Now tell us ballpark figures about price ranges. Like you said, once upon a time, everybody thought this product or this service was for the rich and famous. You had to have it. And let's be fair, you needed a certain income to purchase these kind of products. But now you're saying middle income people or the middle income Malaysian can purchase this. Now, what kind of prices range are we talking about if you wanted to go and purchase an art product and you had to go through the process? What kind of sort of price ranges are we talking about there?
With our company?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Who else is out there, yeah?
Well, there's a lot of emerging artists out there
Yeah.
at very good pricing.
Right.
And they're great artworks, but they're not investment grade artworks. So
Right.
to get involved with a mid-career artist we consider investment grade, averaging 10 to 20% per annum capital growth in the last 4 years. You're looking at ranges anywhere from 40,000 ringgits on up. So it is very affordable.
It is affordable.
Yeah.
It is affordable. Now tell us about the art side of things. Like you said, there's a lot of good artists out there, but not necessarily artist investors. So like, tell us about the artists, I mean, the ones that sell really well or have potential to sell, you know, in terms of their work and whatnot.
Not sure what you're asking me there, but
about the artwork itself, basically.
Well, there's various artworks.
I mean, educate me about, you know, what's good out there to purchase and
there's 3 levels.
What's popular, you know.
There's a lot of popular artwork, but there's 3 levels that you can look at, and the first level is your emerging artist.
Emerging artist. Okay.
This is your younger, up-and-coming artist. Maybe a gallery promotes them.
Okay.
They have yet to be established, and very affordable.
They're doing their yards,
they're working their way up the chain, and they're very affordable. And they're, you know, as of late, you see Indonesian, Indian, even Malaysian, Vietnamese. There's a lot of up-and-coming Asian artists. The next level, which is the level we work in, is your mid-career artist. This is an artist, a known artist, one that's done exhibitions, internationally, locally, one that sells in galleries locally, internationally, no longer being promoted by one particular gallery. He's now grown and expanded, has auction results, so you can actually track the artist. You can Google the artist. The next level, obviously, is your blue chippers, and that's when you start talking millions, and that's a little bit out of our budget.
It gets a bit more pricey, doesn't it?
Sure. And what we're looking to do is acquire mid-career artists, you know, the top-end mid-career artists who we see that will possibly blue chip in the very near future, which would be a good result for our clients.
Okay. Now, in terms of lead time, I've always wondered about this lead time. From the time you pick up the call from a potential investor to the time that you go through the whole process, the insurance, the legalities, everything, to purchasing the actual artwork, how long does it take, generally speaking?
Ooh. Varies, and I would say
because it's not a simple ABC process. That can be on your doorstep in 4 days. You know.
Yeah, to get involved with Art Futures Group usually takes a 3 to 4 week period, easy minimum. First week is really about education.
Right. You know, that raw education.
Then more education, and then once the client is comfortable with our business model and the opportunities that we offer, we would then talk about art, at which point, because we don't have stockpiles of art just laying around.
This is not a shop.
It's not a gallery. And basically, with the demand, especially if it comes to our leasing side, the demand goes very, very, you know, the supply goes quickly, the demand's great. Everybody wants to get 6% income on their investment while it appreciates. So they go on a first-come, first-served basis, and we present an opportunity with someone. They would put their name on it, 10% deposit. It would take 3 weeks to arrive, and then once it does arrive, it has to arrive in perfect condition. We then have to get an independent valuation done for insurance purposes. So
that takes time as well.
Yeah, another week. So it's a good 4-week process. Now, you know, I've had people in the past who, you know, were on the fence, and what we do as a company is a lot of education, and we keep our clients abreast of the market, everything that's happening. And
that's good.
So every week we send out a weekly market update with current information, auction results, any exhibitions, anything happening with the artists that we're dealing with as well. And I've put people on my email list, and they've read these emails for about a year. And then said, all right,
now it's time.
I'm convinced. What do you got?
1 year later.
1 year later. So on average, it's a 3 to 4 week process. If you're keen and you're ready and you are, you know, looking for an investment. A good low risk,
A good low
high
risk.
yielding investment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke earlier about the best part about the job. But every job, every business has its challenges. What's your biggest challenge?
Currently?
Currently, in the past, previously?
I would say my biggest challenge now is accepting the period it's taken to educate the people here in Malaysia.
You need a lot of patience for that.
Well, it's not so much patience. It's
Time as well.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time consuming. I spend a lot of time educating people, and they still don't get it. So
Yeah. They see what they see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a promising country.
Right.
You know, it's young. It's promising. I think over time, people will be a little more aware. They'll hear about it. If they're on my list, they'll get that weekly market update.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest challenge, really, is getting through to people and getting the opportunity to educate them.
Okay, well, it's all about education and
Sure.
awareness, and thank you very much for educating me this morning. But Scott, do not go away anytime soon, because we're just getting stuck into it and learning about your business, and I'm sure our viewers are enjoying it as well. So we're just going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we've got more business news and information to share with you as usual, and then a little bit later in the show, we're going to continue to talk to Scott about this great and very, very interesting and fulfilling, financially that is, business. Stick with us right here on Capital Today. Don't go away. We'll see you very, very soon. And welcome back to Capital Today, live on Capital TV. And we're continuing our interview with Scott Ross, Managing Director of Art Futures Group Malaysia. Now, Scott, really, well, paradigm shift is the two words that I'm looking for, because whenever we speak to interesting guests like yourself, it's just everybody, we stereotype on how a business is. And like you said, you have really given me a paradigm shift, or given our viewers a paradigm shift about this business. It's very much an end-to-end process, a lot of details to be looked after. And like you said, in Malaysia, a lot of education to be done about awareness and one thing. And just probably before we get into the interview again, just remind our viewers a little bit about that education process. Like, what kind of things do you have to educate your customers and clients about in terms of the process and how to go through the whole thing?
The process isn't so much. I mean, it's really educating to the fact that art is a real asset.
That's right.
It is a diversification with an alternative asset class that happens to be outperforming just about every other asset class. And it's really getting the awareness that art is a good investment, a low risk, high yielding investment vehicle. And a lot of what I do is provide third-party information. So it's really the world telling the individual, not me, that art is a good investment.
Right. Now, Scott, they always say it's all about the price. Okay, in business, it's all about the price, because it's all about affordability and whether you can afford that product or not. Now, I'm sure when you're discussing with your potential investors, potential clients, they'll always ask you the question, how is the value of artwork calculated? So how do you sort of sell that everything? Because everybody's saying, they'll look at the price and, the first Malaysian question, why so expensive? So how do you sort of break it down, explain it to them, and look at it from more a holistic point of view?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people think it's kind of speculative on how it's priced, but
but it's actually quite scientific.
It is. It's a highly indexed market. There's a lot of you got ArtNet, Art Price, Art Tactic, My Moses All Art Index. So there's various indices that are out there that make track.
Sounds like we're in the banking and finance world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is like a stock.
Yeah.
Where it makes it a lot easier to calculate. The value of an artwork. It's very precise. The key to us as a company is we've researched hundreds and hundreds of artists over the years, and I think in total we probably worked with close to 50 different artists, which isn't many.
It's not many.
It's not many at all.
Yeah. For the global market, not many at all. Yeah.
No.
I was expecting a triple figure, actually, to be honest.
No. I mean, there's a couple different reasons. Once we do the research and tracking, one reason that we haven't worked with them is they didn't qualify. for investment that we, that they didn't meet all our requirements.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, can't work.
The second reason, which is pretty big too, is when we approach the artist, we have to be able to acquire the artwork at the right price point.
Okay. That's a fair thing as well.
Sure. And a lot of the artists today will say no.
Yeah.
I can sell it more here, or I can get more here. So there's two keys to art investment, and number one is selecting the right artist, and number two, well, the first two keys, let's put it that way, and the second is getting the artwork at the right price.
Right.
So it is an index market, and part of our process is acquiring the artwork, and for insurance purposes, we also get a third-party evaluation done, which should be comforting to our investors, but it's for insurance purposes.
Okay. Now, how do like you said, artists would come to you and say, no, I can get it higher here, I can get it higher here. How do they justify their prices in terms of selling and whatnot?
I think the biggest key,
because that's quite subjective.
Sure. I mean, I'm astonished today. You go to an auction, and because of the demand for the art, people are bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding, and they're driving the market up. They're driving the prices up. I've seen the secondary market has become higher than the primary market. So you can go to
what's going on there?
Right? You can go to a gallery and buy it for less than you would at the auction.
Right.
Years ago, you used to go to an auction and you thought you were going to get a deal. You bid and say, I'm going to come away with a deal. But today, because of the demand and the enthusiasts that are there, and they want it, and to prove a point, they'll bid and bid and bid. So they're driving up the prices. How they justify it, I mean, it's different. There's different markets
methods and mechanisms.
Yeah, I mean,
can you share a couple with us? Just some examples, maybe.
I don't want to say anything that would offend.
No, of course. I mean, no names required, of course. Just
there's different mediums to buy art, obviously, and or venues, whatever you want to say. People are going to the auctions, paying more. You have your galleries. They're a little bit different than a brokerage, an art brokerage. They're on the first floor. Their overhead may be more. They may sell less than we sell, so their prices are a little higher. Are they correctly valued? We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know. But I suppose in this industry, like other industries as well, I mean, it's not just about selling the figures, it's not just about selling the process and making it easier for the investor and the client. Yes, that's one part of the business, but the other part of the business, correct me if I'm wrong, is the relationship or relationships with the artists out there.
Sure.
Yeah, so like from a business point of view, and I've always asked business owners this question, who do enter an industry where relationships are very important, and it sounds like your industry, the relationship with the artist or the artist is very important. So how do you build that? I mean, what's your style of building rapport, respect with the artist as well? Because sometimes the artists, they're not business people.
No, I agree with that. And luckily it hasn't been my responsibility to build it.
That's why you're the boss.
to build these relationships. And I would tell you, years ago, we get a lot of our artwork out of the 798 district up in Beijing.
Right.
And years ago, we finally worked with an artist, and basically, by word of mouth, he told other artists about what we're doing. And then we've worked with some. I mean, the difference is we cannot promote an artist. You see,
that's the difference.
There's a difference where we can't promote an artist and then sell it to someone for investment. We're not like a gallery. So we work with established artists who have their own marketing teams. They do their own promotions, their own exhibitions. And it's really been word of mouth because we're a good company. And a lot of the artists have told other artists, not only are they doing the right thing with the artwork, but you might get some exposure if they use your artwork in the leasing program and lease it out to a corporate client. So, so it's other departments that have really built these relationships with the artists.
But still, as a boss, you have to oversee it and make sure that things are done properly and everything like that.
And we've built some very nice relationships, and we've done some exhibitions, solo exhibitions with these particular artists for working with us in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Now, the life cycle of an artist, let's be honest, the profession of an artist is tough, okay? It's very tough, and I mean, it's not something that many people encourage their children to do, not because of anything, mainly because of bread and butter issues. Now, from your experience, do you see what's the life cycle of a young artist these days? Do they sort of taper off after, I mean, after a certain time, and or do the really good ones stay on? You know, how does the market sort of respond to these sort of, because at the end of the day, you're relying on good talent to execute the
Sure,
shot.
sure. Yeah. I would say it's changed. I mean, in the past, if you look at your Picassos and your Monets, and they lived their life as artists, but they were never financially rich from their artwork until they died.
Yeah,
You know?
of course, yeah.
Now you have these mid-career artists, the middle-aged artists,
coming into it a bit later,
who are millionaires already.
Really?
Yes, they're becoming millionaires young. Do all artists make it? No.
No, of course not. Then we'll all be rock stars, won't we?
Yeah. I talk to a lot of people on the phone, and they say, "Oh, I'm an artist too," you know, and they got a job too, you know. So I think there's a difference. Is the younger artists today are reaping the rewards sooner than in past years.
Right. Now tell us about something a little bit more closer to home. How is the Malaysian market? Because it sounds like you do a lot of work overseas as well, and like you said, you've got some stuff going in, or you've done some stuff in Hong Kong before and stuff. But how is the Malaysian market in your industry?
Malaysian market as artist or
both the business side, I mean, and the artist side. I mean, how? I mean, you said Malaysia we're a young country, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were.
I mean, we're not there in terms of mindset and perception just yet.
But you're coming. I mean, obviously, I mean, when we made a decision to come here,
which is back 5 years back, yeah.
Well, no, 5 years ago we were in Hong Kong, but we used to come over for like the KL Art Expos. Trips over. We did seminars, you know, joint seminars to introduce our company.
Of course.
And we picked up clients along the way.
Okay, great.
Which gave us the thought,
the confidence.
The confidence that there's going to be more. There has to be more.
Right.
You have to think everybody wants to know about a good investment,
Yes,
right? I mean, the whole world wants to invest in something good. So when we expanded over here,
which was in
early this year.
Oh, early this year. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We've been coming over, but we came over
more of an established base.
Yeah, we have an office here now. We're permanently here. We're educating the market.
Right.
I would have thought it was a little easier, but the knowledge is coming. I mean, you got a lot of events coming up. You got an art expo in September, and the turnout to these art expos is phenomenal. You know, thousands and thousands of people come. I think more galleries are popping up as well. So the awareness is coming. You got a few auction houses here, your Henry Butchers and such, and I think the awareness is coming. The growth is coming. I think it's just takes time to get that awareness.
Oh, we spoke about time earlier, but in terms of country, who's like the yardstick of someone who does this well, who has a very good arts market in terms of appreciation, apart from the London, Paris, and New York, any other countries that really stand out in terms of, you know, there's the culture there, good business practices in terms of...
I would say Hong Kong. I mean,
Hong Kong,
yeah, it's huge market there.
Not a big country, but a huge market.
Huge market. You know, the auction houses there are really...
What is their arts culture doing so well that, you know, it's that you really look at it and say, wow, they're doing good stuff here, you know?
Well, I mean, there's a lot more galleries there. Obviously, that's where initiated. Yeah, you know, you got a whole row of galleries, so that's there. I mean, you have all the big ones from all the world come over. And now you have every auction house. You know, you got Sotheby's, Christie's, you got Poly International, Bottoms. I mean, they're all there. Guardian. So it's a huge market in the awareness. It's in the press every day, you know. Every quarter we hear about new auction records, you know. And so it's a fantastic market.
Now, Scott, being the boss, how many people are you sort of managing at the moment, you know, in terms of the business? Because like they say, being an entrepreneur, and we are a business learning show, being an entrepreneur is all about the management of resources and the management of people. And yeah, and like currently,
I'm still at a small team because the need for a big team here.
It's not required.
But my corporate office in Hong Kong does a lot of work for us.
Okay.
You know, they handle all the contracts, all the banking, everything for us at this point. We hope to grow. You know, we want to one day have our own office, maybe up in either Wang Sar or Montclair area, and have a small private gallery as well. We currently started in KLCC. We wanted it to be known that we're a brokerage not a gallery.
Yeah,
There's a huge difference.
There's a big difference.
Big difference, where people want to call me up and say, hey, I want to come by and see what you got. Well, don't bother. I don't have anything.
You can go online.
Not even online.
Yeah.
We can't even post art online because
I suppose,
it sells.
of course, yes.
It's not like it's going to be around long enough to...
No. Okay.
On our Facebook page, there's arts and events we do and displays, but nothing for sale.
Right. Now, is the young Malaysian market, I mean, because they say in Malaysia that if you want to do a fruitful business, you've got to also connect with the youth. And there's a big portion of the Malaysian market which is very young, under 40, also people under 20. Now, do you think they have that potential to really, appreciate the arts culture? And
well, the culture they can appreciate, I'm sure. I've spoken with a lot of younger Malaysians, but when it comes to the investment side,
that's what I meant. I was chasing at, because
a lot of them would tell me that price point's a little too high for
too
them
steep,
at this point.
Yeah.
And they liked it. They said they will always hold on to the information, consider it, add me to your weekly market updates, and when and if the time comes and I do want to find out more, I'll contact you.
What's your vision and aim for this business here in Malaysia, and how long do you give yourself? Tough question, isn't it?
How long do I give myself to?
Sort of grow the business, expand it. Like you said, you want to be known for the right things. Like you get a phone call, people saying, oh, I want to see a gallery. I don't have one. Because that's not my business, I mean, my business is more the business side.
Well, then,
and it takes time, like you said, it takes time to get that word out there. This is what we do. We are not this business, we are this business.
Well, that, like you mentioned, it's time. I don't know if we've actually set a time limit. We don't look at it. We look at it as a positive, promising a venture, basically, that in time it'll be a little more productive, a little more, there'll be more awareness. And now I would probably say through the rest of this year, where we're going to do some other events at investment fairs. You got the art expo coming up. I think it'll get out. Word of mouth. I do have clients here, and I'm using them as references.
No, that's what it's all about. That's the service industry for you.
Sure. Call my client. He's been, I had a guy called the other day. It's a scam, and I said no. Call. So I don't know if I haven't even sat down with the CEO or anything and said, look, we got to this point in time to make it or not make it. It's not. We don't see that. We see it happening.
And final question, as a business owner, as yourself, what have you learned about yourself as a business owner in terms of how to manage a business well? What have you really learned? If there's one thing that really stands out and says, wow, that was a steep but good learning curve, or was just a good learning curve, what would it be?
There's a lot of them.
Just take one.
I think right now it's more about endurance and patience to make this happen. A few times I've thought to myself, this isn't working for me.
This is tough.
This is tough.
And that's why I asked the question earlier about time.
But it's picking up. I'm starting to see the light under the, through the tunnel, so to speak. It's really just, enduring and educating. Like one of my clients told me, educate on, son. So it's just
well, Scott, please do not go anywhere, because we need your education and awareness to educate us about this very, very interesting business of yours. And on behalf of Capital Today and Capital TV, we'd like to thank you for coming in, and more importantly, we'd like to wish you all the best in your future endeavors in this particular project. May it go well. So thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure indeed. So that was Scott Ross, Managing Director of Art Futures Group Malaysia, everybody. So if you do want to find out a little bit more information about his business, just give him a call or go to the website. We're just going to take a very short commercial break. But when we come back, as usual, more business news and information to share with you right here on Capital Today.